Hey YouTube, welcome back to my channel. This is Canadian Retro. I've got another pickups video for you. It looked like a pretty slim day to begin with, but then I made a couple more stops later on in the day and things ended up working out pretty well. The first place that I went to was a Value Village, and there really was a whole ton of games, but none of them were really great titles, and the prices are, like I was saying before, they're starting to rise on their titles, so there isn't really a whole lot there that was really worth picking up, but I did pick up two titles, and the first one is X-Men Legends 2. This is Rise of the Apocalypse, and it's complete. So this one here says $3.99 on it, but she actually charged me $2.99 for it. I guess that was a error on her part, or maybe an error on this label, but she charged me $2.99 for this one. The next one that I picked up was Need for Speed Underground 2, and it's also complete. The disc needs to be cleaned, but you can see like lots of little spots there, but otherwise it's in pretty good shape. And for this one I paid $2.99. So that was my Value Village deals, basically. Nothing overly impressive there. The next spot I went to was a flea market that I've been visiting lately. They tend to cut me a deal there because I go there every other week pretty much and pick up a few things. So they tend to give me a deal. This deal wasn't really a deal, I don't think, as far as the value of it goes. In reference to the prices that they were asking for these things, this is a deal, but ultimately it's kind of like a break-even sort of deal. So the first thing that I picked up, and the only reason why I picked this up, was because I have a box that this one's going to be going into, and I picked up Major League Baseball. It says $3.99 there, but I'll explain what I paid because I basically just bundled everything together. So the next one is Streets of Rage for the Genesis, and it's in pretty bad condition actually, but I basically just want to play it, and I can always do a label upgrade later. The next two are ones that I was really trying to get to begin with. And this one here is the Collector's Package Final Fantasy Anthology. And this one's actually in really great shape. Interestingly enough, I think it's a later release because the backing on them, or the underside of them, is not black, which is kind of unusual, but I think one of the guys there was saying that yeah, if it was a late release or a re-release, they didn't put the black backing on them, or whatever you call that. So there's that one there. And then the other one is Final Fantasy Chronicles, which has Final Fantasy IV and Chrono Trigger. And it's also complete. And the discs are also in good shape, actually in near perfect shape. So again, the black backing on them, but this one here they wanted 30, and this one here they wanted 25. So for the whole thing I just offered them 40, and that was that. So they took the 40 for those 4 games. So again, it's pretty much a break-even deal. They were basically overcharging for these Final Fantasy games. I know they don't go for that as much as they were asking for it, but I was able basically to talk them down to the point where it was reasonable. And as far as from my standpoint, I haven't seen these things in the wild at all, really, and when I do, they're even higher priced than that. especially at the reseller shops, or whatever you'd like to call them, the vintage game shops. So happy to pick them up at that price. If I can find them cheaper, I'll probably end up picking them up later on and selling them off or something like that, and hopefully recoup some of that cash. The next thing was a pretty good deal too. This is probably a better deal than the previous ones that I've been showing here. This was a Kijiji deal, and I've explained it before, but for people that are not familiar with Kijiji, it's basically like Craigslist, only where I'm at it's more popular. I think I've said that in a video before, but in case you haven't seen it, that's what Kijiji is. So I originally responded to this Kijiji ad for a copy of Final Fantasy VII and Final Fantasy IX that the person had. They wanted 25, I believe, for Final Fantasy VII. They wanted 25 for this, and they also wanted 15 for this. So I basically offered him 30 for the two of them, which is a pretty stellar deal, basically like 15 each. He went for it, and then he asked me if I was interested in any of the other games that he had listed. I had some change left on me basically, and I offered him $16 for 3 additional games. He said that he wouldn't do it for less than 20, so I found some more change basically and made the deal. So the first one that I wanted to get a hold of was this one right here. This is Diddy Kong Racing, and it's in great shape. The next one was for PlayStation 2, Street Fighter EX3. Unfortunately, it's not complete, but it is in there, and all is in generally pretty good shape. Could use a little bit of love there, but nothing major. It'll play. The next game that I wanted to pick up was this one here, which is Street Fighter Anniversary Collection. But the only problem was when I actually got these games and I opened them up, this one did not have Street Fighter in it. It had this game inside it, which was Tekken 5. So I took it back to the guy and I said, hey look, it's the wrong game, can you find me the right disc, kind of thing. And he looked around, he couldn't find this disc, which was kind of bumming me out. But he did give me Tekken 5, which is complete, and I have this in my collection already. But so he gave me that sort of on the house. And then with this one, I have the manual with it, I just need the disc, but he instead gave me Capcom versus SNK 2, which I think is a more valuable game. So I wasn't totally disappointed when that happened. I ended up, getting that, which is of more value. And then he just sort of threw in that Tekken 5. So for the 2 Final Fantasy games, the Diddy Kong Racing and these 3 PlayStation 2 games, I ended up paying $50. Not a bad deal at all considering the quality of those titles. Again, it's not thrifting prices, but it's kind of in the market of where games are at right now, and basically where my collection's at right now. I'm to the point where originally a few months ago, when I started recollecting a lot of different things, I could pretty much get my hands on a ton of stuff. Like I could go into a place and pick up a whole bunch of different titles, and it was no problem because I didn't have those things in my collection. But now, as you can see, I'm starting to fill up a few shelves here, and as I go into the Valley Visions, the thrift shops, all those kind of places, there isn't as much stuff, it seems like, but also the stuff that they do have, I either am not interested in or I already have, so I don't end up picking it up. A lot of cheap titles I'm seeing and stuff like that just aren't worth the time and effort to get those ones. So now I'm sort of outsourcing a little bit outside of that, and I'm going into that realm of, online prices kind of thing. which is why I made these deals today. Basically, some really great titles though, I think. Stuff that I wanted to add into my collection. So, I'm not unhappy about it at all. I did pay kind of top dollar for what I was getting, but things that I was planning on getting nonetheless, and I think I made a pretty good deal out of it in total. So, again, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Feel free to comment down below. Thumbs up this video. Thanks again so much, and I will see you all later.